you ever laid awake at night thinking about the life you could have had, the job you didn't take, the person you didn't marry, the dream you gave up somewhere along the way? Those tiny decisions, the ones that quietly split your life into different directions. And sometimes you wonder, what if I chose differently? Well, today I want to tell you about a woman who actually get to find out. Her name is Nora Seed. It comes from Matt Haig's The Midnight Library, which honestly is one of those books that sneaks up on you and hits way harder than you expect. And her story begins on the worst day of her life. Nora is 35, living alone in a tiny flat in Bedford, England. And she's exhausted, not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, the deeper kind, the kind where life itself feels heavy. First, her cat Voltaire dies. He's hit by a car outside her building. If you've ever loved a pet, you know that pain. Then she loses her job at a small music shop. Her brother Joe won't answer her calls. Her best friend Izzy moved to Australia and barely texts anymore. And as Nora sits there alone in her apartment, one more thought creeps in. Dan, the man she almost married. She had a dress, the venue, the whole future planned out, and then she called it off. Now sitting in the silence of her flat, Nora looks back at her life and all she sees are unfinished paths. She could have been a champion swimmer, she quit. She could have stayed in a band with her brother, she quit that too. She could have studied glaciers and traveled the world, but she stayed home. Every version of her life feels like something she abandoned. And by 11:22 p.m., Nora reaches a breaking point. She decides she's done. She writes a note, takes the pills, and closes her eyes, believing the story is finally over. But it isn't, not even close. Instead of darkness, Nora wakes up. She's standing in a huge library. Endless shelves stretch in every direction filled with great books. The air smells like old paper and dust, and every clock in the room is frozen at exactly midnight. Behind the wooden desk sits a woman Nora recognizes instantly, Mrs. L, her old school librarian. Back when Nora was a lonely kid, Mrs. L was the one adult who always treated her with kindness. So naturally, Nora asked the obvious question, am I dead? Mrs. L smiles gently. Not exactly. She explains that Nora is in a place between life and this. And this is the Midnight Library. Every book on these shelves is a different life Nora could have lived. Every decision she ever made created another possibility, another past, another version of Nora. All those what ifs she's been thinking about, they're here. Mrs. L hands her a heavy book. On the cover are 4 words, the Book of Regrets. When Nora opens it, the pages seemed endless. I regret leaving the band. I regret quitting swimming. I regret not moving to Australia with Izzy. I regret disappointing my parents. I regret not marrying them. And honestly, it's hard not to feel that one a little, because most of us carry a book like that in our heads. All the tiny moments we wish we could redo. But Mrs. L tells Nora something important. Regret is powerful. The lives we imagine are often better in our minds than they would be in reality. And here, in the Midnight Library, Nora gets a chance to test them. She can open any life she wants, steps inside it, live it, and if she finds one she truly loves, she can stay. But if something feels wrong, if even a tiny piece of the life disappoints her, she'll return to the library. So Nora starts with one of her biggest regrets. What if she hadn't called off her wedding? Suddenly, she's in a cozy country pub. She and Dan are married. They run a place together. At first, it looks perfect. Warm lights, friendly customers, a quiet life in the countryside. The life she thought she threw away. But the longer she stays, the more cracks appears. Dan drinks too much. He dismisses her ideas. He talks over her, and eventually Nora learned the truth. He's cheating on her. The life she'd been mourning was never a dream, it was a trap. And just like that, she's back in the Midnight Library. Next, she tries something completely different, the life her father always imagined for her. In this version, Nora became a glaciologist. Now she's standing in the Arctic. For a moment, it feels incredible, adventurous and meaningful. And then she sees it, a huge polar bear, walking straight toward her. In that terrifying moment, something unexpected happens. Nora doesn't want to die. Not here, not anywhere. For the first time, survival instinct kicks in. She fights to survive. But even in this adventurous life, something feels missing. She's completely alone. So the library pulls her back again. Then comes the rock star life. In this world, Nora never left the band she started with her brother Joe. Now she's famous, sold out arenas, crowds screaming her name, money, fame, everything people dream about. But when Nora asks about Joe, the room goes quiet. Joe is dead. He overdosed years ago. The pressure of fame crushed him. And Nora realizes something painful. You can't change one part of your life without changing everything else. There's no version where you keep all the good parts and avoid the bad ones. That life disappears too. Then she becomes an Olympic swimmer. She wins gold, her father is alive, he's proud of her. The world celebrates her, but the relationship between her father feels hollow. He loves the winner, the champion, not Nora herself. It's all performance, no real connection. So once again, back to the library. By now, Nora has lived hundreds of lives, but none of them feel like home. Then she tries a small, quiet life. In her original life, a neighbor named Ash once asked her out for coffee. She said no, so this time she says yes. In this life, she's a philosophy professor, she's married to Ash, they have a little daughter named Molly, a dog, a quiet house. For the first time, Nora thinks maybe this is it. But slowly something strange becomes clear. She doesn't know the little things, her daughter's favorite bedtime story, the shared memories, the inside jokes. This life is beautiful, but Nora didn't build it. She stepped into it halfway through, and deep down it doesn't feel like it truly belongs to her. The library pulls her back once more. But this time something is wrong. The Midnight Library is collapsing. Shelves fall, books turn to dust. Mrs. M looks terrifying. Nora, she says, the library is ending. Your body is dying in the real world. And suddenly Nora understands everything. The library was never about finding the perfect life, because perfect lives don't exist. Every life has pain. Every life has regret. Every life has loss. But that doesn't make life meaningless. And in that moment, Nora feels something she hasn't felt in a long time. Hope. With everything falling apart around her, she shouts the words that change everything. I want to live. She grabs a blank book and starts writing her life, her choices, her story. When Nora wakes up, she's back in her small apartment, weak, dizzy, and sick. But alive, barely able to stand, she makes it to her neighbor's door and asks for help. And here's the beautiful thing about the end of this story. Nora doesn't wake up famous or rich or wildly successful. She simply chooses to stay. She reconnects with her brother, she finds a new job, and slowly she stops blaming herself for every tiny thing that ever went wrong. Even her cat Voltaire, this wasn't her fault. Sometimes things end because life is fragile, not because we failed. And maybe that's the real message of this story. We spend so much time imagining better lives, comparing ourselves to people online, thinking we somehow chose the wrong path. But the truth is, there is no perfect version of you out there waiting to be discovered. And that's okay. You don't have to live every possible life. So, if your own book of regrets feels heavy right now, remember something. Your story isn't over. The clock hasn't stopped. there are still pages left to write. Thanks for sitting with me and listening to this story. I'll see you in the next one.